We can switch between chart. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
you just
flip the
yeah,
switch. Yeah.
just screen share. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flip the script.
Hey guys, you know what? One of the features that we don't talk too much about is that when we go back to the old tech, you can switch between screens on your own. So if Solid's broadcasting, he might not be talking, but you could look at his screen. And if you wanted to go take a look at my screen while he's talking, you could click on my screen too. You have the ability to go back and forth on your own.
Gives them the power.
So yeah, I took a just a chill pill for about a half an hour. I guess the one trade I was thinking about doing, I missed. So 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversals. I hear these trades work out pretty well, especially after you faux show, bro. So hey, let me show you my chart. Oh, you do see my chart.
It's up.
Yeah. So again, this is a very long day because it's almost so long that this was my first trade. I don't even have any. It was nothing to talk about because before I even had a chance to say anything, I was out of it. So check it out. Look how this day started. So the day started with the day started yesterday at 6 p.m. If you guys are following me on social media, which I implore you to do, I beg of you. Every once in a while, I get on the air and you want to hear this is some vital information, especially if you went short Friday afternoon because of the reversal and you were quote unquote crazy enough to hold short over the weekend. And again, in this case, there was a laundry list of reasons to go short into the weekend. And the most important reason was volatility was going higher on a Friday, and not just the VIX itself, the garbage products that are UVIX, and of course, our favorite garbage product, UVXY. So if you ever see UVXY rallying on a Friday, it's dangerous because it generally never goes up on Fridays because it's just a disintegrating product. Usually volatility is not that great on Mondays and Fridays. It's usually bullish days. So when something happens out of the ordinary, you take heed. So you had what was one of the most absolutely fantastic reversal days. You had a bullish morning and then you had a bearish afternoon, which if you could get that day, if you could have Friday every day, we are going to be, I don't like saying we're going to be rich, but we're going to be rich. The market doesn't have to go anywhere. If it gaps lower, rallies all day, and then the next day gaps up and sells off all day, and we go nowhere for the next 2 years, you know how much money we're going to make? Because reversals is what we do, baby. VWAP trading starts with a reversion trade. So first thing you're trying to, first thing the market does is it reverts to the VWAP, with as Solid's always saying, with the absence of buying or selling pressure, you will revert to the VWAP. So then when you revert to the VWAP, that's when the market's telling you, all right, now we got to make a new decision. Who's got the power? And obviously Friday with Apple just disintegrating all day slowly, it was like the slowest 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal I have ever seen. But man, oh man. And let me show it to you on the chart. So here's the 2 day. You got to look at 2 days worth of data just to get a glimpse. Here it is. I mean, it all started with the earnings. That was Thursday night. Knee-jerk reaction was down. Then you had a 1 minute multi-VWAP reversal to the upside in the aftermarket. And then you consolidated with this massive gain, right? And then you walk in on Friday morning and you're thinking, all right, all systems go. Apple's good. Nobody wants to sell the market. DeepSeek is already history. Nobody cares, and we're gonna just rock, which is kind of what I thought, right? Because again, I've been a victim to the bull market as a quote unquote perma bear. Again, I don't short anymore as much as I used to because shorting is illegal. We kind of witnessed that this morning, but again, one of the things I like to talk about is shorting is short lived, and you're going to die, especially in a market that hardly ever goes down. I mean, we have our bear markets once in a while, but man, oh man, we are in such bull mode. And again, if you think today is bearish, you're wrong. There has not been any selling at all today. None. So let me just go through what we're talking about. So this Apple trade on Friday was just something epic. You had all bullishness from the night before, all pre-market, and then the trade that sets up that we look for. We look for the gapped up stock to break VWAP, break pre-market lows, and it was on. And next thing you know, you're tanking. And we made a quick 250. And then we got down to that 42.50 where we got some chop, and we put our stop at 43.50 and then 44. And that's why when I'm in a position, I like to scatter my stops. So on this little blip right there, that was us getting stopped out of some of it, but we never get out of our entire position at one price, do we? Of course not. So then when it rolled over, we got down to prior day VWAP. By here, in this chop, the trade's pretty much complete. And I'm thinking we're going to find some support. We're going to rally back. I'm still thinking bull market. We're never going down. But then we reversed. So then we broke back under prior day VWAP. That confirms the trend. So here's the 1 minute. That was the multi-day. So it's the 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal. The reversal part is when the stock actually went from green to red, which a lot of people thought, oh my God, I'm not going to short it now that I missed 6 points, 7 point sell-off. Nah, you should have shorted it when it went negative, because that's the reversal part. That's the visceral part of the trade. That's the part where the human gets involved and says, shit, am I going to let this stock not only just give up the entire gap? Am I going to let this turn into a loss? Hell no, I'm dumping it. So you got people that don't want to let it go red. They start dumping it there. Then the shorts get involved. They're like, oh man, this thing's rolling over and dying. Let's start hammering it. And next thing you know, that and me getting out of this a little bit early, then again, a lot early, I left 6-7 points on the table. And I was saying, hey, look, if the market's going to roll over, I mean, so if the major stock like Apple is going to roll over, maybe the market's going to roll over as well. And we gave the QQQ a shot. And it was doing the same kind of thing, but it was like a delayed reaction. Apple had started selling off at around 11:30. This sell-off didn't happen until about 1:20. And I almost didn't want to take it serious because I'd been burned so many times. But then finally, remember those two bad prints? We went there. But once we got through the multi-day, I started thinking, all right, something's up. And then, of course, take a look at what UVXY was doing simultaneously at the time. UVXY was getting dipped and then rallying, which usually you'll rally on UVXY. There are no dip buyers. Usually the dip is the sell-off. It rolls over and dies. But when you see the dips being bought, that was what was the game changer. Wait a second. Volatility products are being bought on a Friday with the market accelerating to the downside. I got to stay short. So fast forward to last night, you saw the futures open down 500. You're a winner, right? So there's no reason to stay short all night. So right here, when the futures opened up, look, this is what I'm talking about. The futures opened up at lows. You never went there. So the lowest point of this entire quote unquote disaster was already contained yesterday at 6 p.m. And you broke VWAP, and I was just looking for a reason to hedge myself. So I bought a contract and I used the low of the day, the low of that 6 p.m. I didn't think it was going to work. The next thing you know, I hedged a little bit because I didn't want to stay short overnight without covering. And the only way to cover was a futures contract until 8 p.m. And the lovely thing about the QQQ, and if you have a Charles Schwab account or Thinkorswim, the Qs actually open up at 8 p.m. And look what they were doing at 8 p.m. last night. There you go. Oh, sorry. I thought this was the 6 o'clock hour, but here's the 8 o'clock open. First it dipped, and it tried to rally, and then it rolled. So there was no reason to start getting bullish. But now, if you're short the Qs, you could cover them Sunday night. So before I went to sleep, I just took a couple of them off. And then that was a pretty damn good idea. So this morning, when I rolled in, the market was already down, but it was This is this morning. And let me put it on a 5-minute chart so you could see the whole setup. Look at all that lovely action, right? Look at kind of where we broke down from. And that is kind of where we just went to. So this was Friday, Sunday, and you're seeing the whole picture of the entire sell-off right here, as it's been all contained, and it's just like almost like it's like it didn't happen already, which is typical of the bull market because every dip continuously is bought. And another thing that we can learn from today is that we have a new double bottom area where we bottomed out Sunday evening as a new level of concern, right? So if you ever think, I mean, well, not ever, but if you think that this market's ever actually going to go down for an extended period of time or break down, you know that today's lows are significant and you should mark them off like I do. I leave my red lines up there when they're important. So that double bottom there is important. Now I'm going to just show you the last 30 days of market action. I'll go intraday so you can really see it. 30 days on an hourly basis. That doesn't even give it to you. Hold on, 30 hours. I'm going to put it on 2 hours. There you go. Right? And actually, I want to show you more data just to show you that we really. I can't. It doesn't want to give me 60 days, but I'll go on a daily, I guess. Let's go 3 months on the day. Where we been? We're just in a big fat trading range, right? So there's the big double bottom. There's the blip that I thought was going to be something, and it didn't amount to anything. It just turned out to be a fake out, shake out, breakout. So now we got last night's levels, last week's levels, the major double bottom, and all that is right here within 18 points. This is the 500 level. That's the 499 when we blipped under there for 30 cents. So what I'm saying is, if we're ever going to go down and really get hammered, we got so many levels to contend with. So if we're breaking 507.50 tomorrow, you know we got some issues. And obviously UVXY probably will be going up at the time. And then we got those last week's levels. And if you're bearish, and again, I'm mildly bearish because uncertainty usually breeds bearishness. And right now we're in a kind of an uncertain moment. It's just that nobody sells. So going back to that point, right? Nobody was selling today. The selling was already done artificially in the futures market. Because if you think about it, look, we never even flirted with those lows. And I think that's dangerous now because good markets like to test significant areas. So I think we're going lower, right? Now, do you want to hold some shorts into the close? If you feel like gambling, it's what I'm looking at right now. So I'm looking at a 518 put, 517 fit. If it's a 517, see the 517s for 20. It's actually a little bit too expensive. And the reason that's so expensive is the volatility is so high right now, the uncertainty. But generally, you don't want to pay 20 cents for $1.50 out of the market with 14 minutes left. And you do have an extra 15 minutes. So maybe we just avoid it and just let this market close. I was hoping to see them at a nickel, maybe. The 518s for 50 make a little bit more sense. Or you trade the stock. Let's take a look where we are. So much easier trading stock. So, yeah, I probably would have, should have, put a short on already. You see kind of we just broke back below that breakout area and we rolled through it. You know, chances are we're going to revert to the VWAP, which is, 2 points away. And I wouldn't be surprised if we close right there. But going back to the morning, and each morning, if you guys don't know, I send out a list of what I'm watching, a little heads up of what I'm thinking. I was telling everybody last night to cover, look for a rally. But again, let me just show you what we did in the morning before I go further on. We were bullish, and I waited, and there was the confirmation. So right there, and again, why am I bullish the market open? Because we were already down. I don't like shorting near the open when the market's already down. But I was hoping for a move down first into a rally. You got one candle down and right back up. Wasn't enough for me. I didn't participate in this move. And it was a pretty decent move. VWAP break, 513. Got you up around the 516. If you went long, you got paid. But here's where I started getting interested in shorting it again because I was a little bit bearish. You see how each time it rallied, it made a lower high? That's a typical downtrend. So right there, when we couldn't get over the VWAP and stayed in the downtrend, I gave it a shot. I finally got short the Qs right here, right? And the reason I did was because I could use a really tight stop at the VWAP, at that collision of the trend line and the VWAP. I don't do a lot of trend trading, but that one I was interested in because you could see it, you could feel it, right? And the whole time, and this is what makes me different than everybody else, it was the most annoying trade. And I was the most annoying human being you'll ever, because every tick, even though we were making money, I was saying, this is not going to work. Shorting is illegal. And sooner or later, it's going to rip in our face. So everybody get ready to cover. Oh my God, I can't believe it's working. Make sure you take something off. So we were short around 513.05. By 512.50, I'm covering a little bit. By 512, I'm covering a little bit, knowing that the trap is probably being set as UVXY was going down at the same time. And then out of nowhere, as if it was conjured up by me personally, and look at the market just caught a bid, we just absolutely spiked. And before I even had a chance to complete my thought, I was getting out of the trade. And then we're going long. And if you can't get your brain to work like that, this is a very difficult market to trade. But when you're just using price and VWAP, pattern recognition meets VWAP meets you have to react. And that's why that was the most, I was probably I could be annoying when I trade, but I'm always trading and talking at the same time because I'm running this room and I'm doing my broadcast, right? I got to say, in this 9 minutes, 12, 15 minutes, I must have said, we're not going to make money on this trade 3,000 times. I can't believe it's working. I can't believe it's working. And then look where it went to. It went to the price. That red line was there because that was one of our targets because that's the same price it pivoted from right there. So luckily, the way we trade is that we do things at prices where things happened once before. So because it happened, the bounce happened there from earlier, we didn't hesitate. We had our bids out and we started covering as it is approaching. And then as it started to rip, that's when we got out of the rest. And luckily we got out of the rest. And again, that was $1.50 rip. So I was up obviously a little bit more, but I'm not going to hesitate when the market starts ripping against us, especially in a market that refuses to go down. So now, going back to that list that I talk about, I have a list of stocks that are being accumulated for the last 6 or 7 months. Space, rockets, robots, quantum, AI, right? I broke the sector. No one heard of most of these names, and most of these names now remain in play. And what does in play mean? How about rigatoni for you? How's 127 million shares a day grab you? Huh? You think that's in play? The stock's maybe got 8 million shares on the float. It trades 128 million shares a day. It's insane. But that volume, actually, that's not the float. I'm exaggerating. But it trades absolutely an amazing amount of volume. The stock has options. It's absolutely a juggernaut of liquidity, and it provides you ample opportunity on a daily basis to make a day's pay. And again, that's what day trading is all about. And this trade right here, if you could understand what happened in RGTI, otherwise known as Rigatoni or Dave Righetti's quantum computing company, you can understand trading. So let me show you what happened to me. So I'm looking for a reason to buy this morning, and I go right to my source. I go to the Rigatonis. I go to my lunars, LUNR. I go to my sounds. I go to my Palantirs. I check out Pay. Yeah, I was about to mention PayPal, but I didn't actually go to PayPal today. But I go to my go-to names, Quantums, the Ion Qs, you know. So Palantir, sorry, Rigatoni right here. You see how it broke the VWAP right there and it broke the 930 candle? That was me. That was me buying it right there at 1246. And then when it broke the VWAP, I bought more because I thought that was your dip. Here comes the rip. Here comes the VWAP break. And there was no way in hell I wasn't expecting to get paid on this trade, right? I bought 1247, 48, 49, 50, 51. Got myself up to about 1,600 shares right there. No way in hell did I expect it to. I expected at least 1275 and then start flirting with the 1281 and possibly, get back to those pre-market highs. And this is what makes me a pretty decent trader. 30 seconds later, I realized, oh, this is bad. And I sold it for a small loss. Small losses keep you in the game. Big losses destroy you. I could take 10 small losses a day and have one good trade and manage to make money in the industry. That's why when I talk about these track records, they're insignificant. I went 11 for 12 the other day, and I still got hammered on my 12th trade, and I wanted to give them back the whole day. Track records it's an illusion, the win rate and all that stuff. But luckily, we have a trade that works a lot. But, I could show you a trade that works 98% of the time, and I could also show somebody else that will fuck it up because they just get in with too much size. They get scared and they freak out. There's always a reason people blow trades. And when you have a trade that works this well, you got to have it. It helps with the confidence. So the first one didn't work. I got in, and as soon as it broke down, I got stopped out because it broke the bottom of the candle where it came from and then broke 1225, and I took my loss. But it wasn't bad, right? I could manage a $180 loss. Bang. And then look what this bastard did to me again. I was like, oh, good thing I sold it. And here comes the turn. So I'm like, all right, let me buy the VWAP break. I buy it. It goes up 9 cents, starts to immediately go down, breaks the prior candle. I'm immediately selling it again. Small loss. And then it goes lower. At least they went lower both times after I sold it. But now I'm a little bent, right? Now, and I said to myself, am I revenge trading this right now? Because when you keep going back to a name that's disappointing, you're kind of doing something wrong. It's called revenge trading. But wait a second. Is it revenge trading if you then see the trade right? No, because there is the faux, show, and then back above the area and the bro. So, that all rhymes. Faux, show, bro. So, don't you know, by the time you're done wallowing in the misery of, oh my God, the stock's beating the shit out of me today, I suck as a trader. Next thing you know, another 20 minutes later, here comes another setup. You have to do this trade. You have to. And that's where that's where the good trader gets separated from the guy that sits there complaining. It's only 10:20 in the morning. The stock beat you once. It beat you twice for small losses. But then the setup shows up. You have to put the trade back on. You got to get in. You liked it here at 1234. You liked it here at 1240. Why don't you like it here, Mr. Jones? Now I sound like a broker, right? But now it's breaking VWAP, and it's testing it from underneath, from on top. It's showing you the strength right here, the jiggle and the shuffle. You got to get back in. And look what this trade turned out to be. You went right back to all those levels where you wished it was earlier, and the resistance was there, and you sold it up here this time. But that's just where the story begins. Look at the next move. You see this little tiny moment right here? Bang to the bang. That's another fake out shakeout. You see how where here's the jiggle from earlier. There's the pullback that held. Here's that same thing. And this time they broke it just a little bit. Fake out, shake out, holds the VWAP, and then starts to rally. Now, I wasn't paying attention, but I paid attention to this part. You broke the high of the day and consolidated, and then you broke new highs, and then you broke the prior day VWAP, is where I bought it back right here. Because the 1 minute multi-day VWAP break usually begets more to that upside. Because now you're breaking today's VWAP, You've tested it from underneath, you've consolidated, and you're breaking out, buy it again. And that's what I love about this stock. There's so much opportunity, and there's just one name understanding the patterns and the price action, and of course the VWAP and the prior day VWAP and a stock that went green. So even though I chased this one at 13 and a quarter, selling it at 13.50, 13.75, getting stopped out at 13.50, know what that is? That's another day's pay. So all we're doing in this room, in the hit the bid room, me and my buddy over here, Solid, is that we're taking, these chart patterns that work intraday and just showing them how they repeat over and over and over again. And when they come around near volume weighted average price, VWAP, these trades continually work. And that's all we do. And what's wonderful and fantastic about how we trade, if you can master the day, you can master the week, the month, the year, and all time and space. Because the chart patterns that you're seeing here replicate on dailies, weeklies, monthlies, and yearlies. And now that we use VWAP exclusively, we only use VWAP on the daily, the weeklies, the monthlies, and the yearlies. So everything we do feeds into something else. For instance, knowing the price action on Friday fed into the idea to hold the short over the weekend. And just like when these rigatonis and all these crazy quantum stocks were breaking out of what we call that Andy Dufresne and the, coming out of those 3-week downtrend, those 3-year downtrends. Here's that rigatoni, Kardashian bottom into the, Andy Dufresne into the Kardashian. The Kardashian is usually the top where it breaks finally out. Andy Dufresne is just coming out of the bottom part. And usually we've been using bigger time frames to show you the idea. Anyway, glad I didn't do anything with the Qs. The chop continued to be the trend. And one thing I am proud of is what we just did, right? Basically just avoided trading because there really wasn't anything jumping out. I am never anxious to trade, but what I am anxious to do is to see Palantir report earnings. So that's why we're here. And I'm going to show you how I trade earnings reports, and hopefully the stock reports before 4:15, so we have some time to watch the chop, knee-jerk reaction. And again, everybody knows how much I love this stock. I have a $120 price target on it for, at least, probably I would say May or June. But I'll be just a regular analyst. I'm upgrading it to with a 120 price target with no price, with no timeline. So if it takes 8 years to go there and it finally goes to 120, I'll come back 8 years from now and say I told you so. But that's not how I trade. Who cares? I do think the stock's going a lot higher from here. And by the way, Palantir was another faux show, bro. VWAP, multi-day VWAP trade today. You see this chart right here? Does that look eerily similar to what? The rigatoni. Exactly, because it is. It's the same exact chart. Hey, right. Let me just see what time they have for the earnings release. There's just a couple to watch tonight. I'm sure you got the list, right? Anyway, their website's getting all glitchy right now. Hold on a second. Here's this website that I use to know what I'm about to trade. Earningswhispers.com, still been around. I think this is the same website I've been using for got to be 20 years. It's just a little glitchy today. Yeah, it's not loading the lists up. Well, anyway, they usually list the calendars. Just seems to be having a hard time this morning. I mean, today. Looks like they might have been released just now. What, Benzinga doesn't put the earnings list up there now for free? I guess the site's down today. It was the first time in a long time the site's had some issues. By the way, this is where I tell you to follow me, StockTwits. They usually have a good earnings calendar. Let's see. Maybe it's my internet. Oh, no, here we go. So anyway, everybody knows Rambus is reporting. Rambus, Palantir, and XPI. And let's just go after the bell. And XPI is a big semi. That's interesting to watch. Rambus, semi, Palantir. And probably... Clorox. I own this stock, but I don't need to talk about it. New Jersey Resources. All right, well, Palantir, there's all-time highs. And like I said, the stock's going to 120. Probably going to go there tonight. Chances are. Big fan. Big fan. They're actually making money on AI. They kill terrorists. They help support America. And the CEO doesn't buck around. So, big fan. I've been selling puts on the stock since the IPO. I don't own it right now because I've been waiting to be put. I thought I was going to get put the stock when it was flirting with 60s again. Yeah. So right now what you're witnessing is the knee-jerk reaction. The earnings are out, obviously, right? Knee-jerk reaction. So the earnings must be good enough, but right now all they're talking about is what happened already. So that's why we call it the knee-jerk reaction. People are reacting to what's already happened. So now the next phase of the earnings report, and you just hit 93, double top for a second. I don't think it's going to last, right? 93. Well, what I'm going to do now is I plot all the reactions in the aftermarket. And all these ups and downs, or hopefully there'll be a down so I can show you. This forms the new chart pattern. Or the fucker just goes to 120 right now as we're sitting here, and my dad's making all the money again. So my father owns the stock too because, I convinced him the guy's killing terrorists and their business is booming, as they say in Inglourious Bastards. We in the Nazi killing business. And right now, business is a booming. So, so if you're looking for what I've been saying, the number one way to play the AI revolution, it's this stock. Because they do other things and AI, and they're actually putting it to use. And like I said, you might not get a chance to buy this stock tonight. I was hoping to see a little dip-a-rooski, but like I said, everybody wants in. And this is one of those stocks where when you hear people use the word valuation, throw something at them. Because they've been trying to, even at $11, there was an analyst that downgraded the stock and said it was overvalued at 20, at 30, at 40. So that same analyst, I wonder what he thinks at $94. He probably thinks it's a lot overvalued, right? That doesn't mean anything. Nobody cares about valuation anymore. Valuation is a thing that died it mattered between 1950 and 1982. Since 1982 to 1987, we started implementing algorithms. 87 crash was an algorithm that went haywire. And since then, nobody cares about valuation. Nobody. They care about price action. And now the algorithms took over. The algorithm that just ran this thing from 88 to 93 has no idea what this company does, nor who the CEO is and how much money they're making or not making. We just trade price action, and that's what keeps you somewhat sane. I mean, it's crazy that I own the 10,000 shares of the stock at $10, and now I don't own any of it. It's kind of sad in a way. Bought the IPO. I was waiting for this stock for 6 years to come public after reading about it in Business Week. All right, so now you're asking yourself, so what are we going to do about this tomorrow? Are we going to short it? Probably not. And that's my default. I short stocks that are gapped up on earnings. Now, I'm not saying I'm not going to short it, but I think it's going to 120. So I don't want to really get in its way. Right? But tonight, so now you have a couple of candles to talk about finally, right? So here, the bottom of this candle where you pivoted off, that's $92.39. So let's assume just for a second, 95.77 is your high for tonight. So 95.77 high, 92.39 low. And you walk in tomorrow and the stock's still in this range. Want to hear the easiest two trades you're ever going to do in your life? If it breaks 95.77, buy it because it's probably going to 97.50 and then 100. And if it breaks 92.39, short it because it's probably going to drop about 220 and flirt with that 90. And because this candle is so huge, that reaction was so massive that if it does break down, there'll be what they say the elevator down. Stocks take the escalator up, elevator down. And in that little moment of elevator, and again, like I showed you today, some of these trades are a minute, 3 minutes, 8 minutes, 12 minutes. Friday's trade with Apple lasted all day, which was the rare case. But tomorrow, if we come in and this stock's up here and it does break down, I'm probably going to short it and I'm going to walk through it just like I did on the Qs today. Because when you're shorting stocks, even if it's just even if you know it's going to be temporary, make sure you keep saying it to yourself. I can't believe I'm shorting a stock. This is illegal. I hope it works. It probably won't, but it looks like it should work right here. Oh my God, it's working. Oh my God, what do I do? Take some money. Oh my God, I can't believe it's working. Oh my God, it's falling a little bit. What should I do? Take some more money. You always got to walk yourself through the trade, especially if you're short. I always do that anyway when I'm on any trade. I'm like, all right, where do I think it's going? I'm going to put my offer out there. I'm going to raise my stop here. If I'm wrong, I'm getting out here. But with shorting, you got to always remember one saying. You ready? Uh-oh. I broke my thing. Oh, I broke it. I can't do it for you now, Joe. You love the bullhorn. Oh, the batteries must have died. Anyway, the saying is shorting is short-lived and you're gonna die. Right? Just like these guys right here who said, "Oh, let's short some Palantir. It looks like it's gonna break down." 3 points in your face. Don't short stocks unless you know what you're doing. In fact, don't short stocks. Even in a bear market. If you don't know what you're doing, think about this. With every time you short something, you have unlimited risk for limited rewards. Who wants to get involved in that scenario? So you're saying I have unlimited risk to make something, some measly amount of money? Yes. Why would anybody do that? I don't know. But I seem to want to do it every day because that's trading. The fade, and that's all that is tomorrow morning. You're just playing the fade, right? Because think of the guy that finally bought this stock after watching it go from 10 to $60. He bought it at 60, and he's happy. Thank God the stock went to 80. Now he just held through the earnings. So he bought it at 60. His risk tolerance is a little bit less. So maybe he's going to come in tomorrow morning and say, man, I can't believe I'm still making money on this trade. I bought it at $60. Man, I thought it was overvalued at 10. So the fade works is because everybody out there has a different time frame, right? Maybe somebody bought it last quarter, just looking to hold it for 3 months. They're happy with their results. And tomorrow morning, they're going to come along and they want to dump it. So what are they going to do? They're going to dump it at the open. So that's where the fade comes in. And the fade is shorting. You're shorting a gapped up stock. You're just playing the profit taking from people that are already in it. from the 40s and 50s that might want to take advantage of this big pop. And by the way, I did say it would go up 20% minimum today. Again, my target's 120. Probably will go there tonight. And then, by the way, that's not the end of the stock. Once it breaks 120, the stock goes to 180 and then 250. Nobody should sell this stock unless it goes to 250 bucks. And I'm talking about maybe 2.5 more years, 3 years tops. The stock goes to 250. You see how it's not even shopping? It's just being accumulated right now. And they'll do a rug pull, and we look for the rug pull to short it. But right now, like I said, I probably won't even play a fade on this stock tomorrow because chances are it might be a gap and go. And that's why I'm preparing to short it. If it shows up, then I short it. See, I'm a reactionary trader. I'm not coming in going, ooh, I can't wait to short Palantir tomorrow. If it presents itself as a short, then I'll short it. And now that it broke a new range in the aftermarket, now I don't have to wait for it to break here. I'm going to wait for it to break there. So now that it just broke a double top, that double top now would be the trigger for me to short it, because if stock breaks back below a double top, it usually goes and tests those bottom ranges. And look where I just went to. So there's a part of the rigging, my friend. $95 got you what? $97.50. You see, I went to $97.50. You have one of the most popular stocks on the planet in the most volatile moment of its life, breaking all-time highs, and yet it stops at $97.50 to the penny. That's just proof that the market's rigged. Half numbers and whole numbers, fear, greed, momentum, and VWAP. And that's all you need to know about the stock market. There's not too many other things that a stock can do. But what you just witnessed is another, and again, I'm going to tell you right now, when it breaks 90, not if, when it breaks 97.50, it's going to 100. And when it breaks 100, it's going to 102.50. And then when it breaks 102.50, it's going to go to 105. And then it's going to move in 5-point increments once it gets over 105. 105 is going to get you 110. And then blink of an eye, you're going to see the stock at 120, and you'll be like, hey, I guess it was going to 120. And then what's going to happen when it breaks 120? It's going to go up another 60 points, and then another 80 from there. Just like Reddit. You didn't want to believe me on Reddit, believe me on Palantir. And like I said about Reddit, don't sell it, right? Because stocks that get through 50 go to 80. And if they go to 80, they go to 120. If they go to 120, they go to 180. If they go to 180, they always go to 200. And if they go to 200, chances are you're going to see a Reddit very, very sooner than later, $250 a share. And somewhere my pal Joe is still in it, as I tried to explain him the idea of, again, he knew why he bought it. And he was dying to sell it on that first pop on earnings day. I was like, don't you dare sell it. You held the hard part. Now enjoy the fruits of your labor. This will be another one just like that. And if you're wondering right now out there in cyberspace, what does that mean? 80 gets you 120, 120 gets you 180, 180 gets you 250. These are just trades that have been working for my entire career. One of the first lessons I ever learned is 250 gets you 5, 5 gets you 750, 750 gets you 10. Usually that's a blue sky breakout, meaning a stock's never been that high. So that's why when these rigatonis and Q-Berts, Q-U-B-T, for instance, when it started to break out, and it was never really that high, once it got 250, we expected 5. 5 got you 750, 750 gets you 10. And when you break through those prices that have been significant since the dawn of time, and the reason they've been significant for all eternity is that when options came around in the 70s and 80s, they were pricing them in 2.5-point increments. And also before maybe some of you guys started trading, you see how it's trading 75 by 87? That's how the market used to work. 95 3/4 by 95 7/8. And half numbers and whole numbers. Not many people would call a broker, hey, what's up? Yeah, I'm looking to buy Palantir at $95.72. No, you'd call in like, yeah, get me around, $95. I'm willing to buy $95.50. People trade around in half numbers and whole numbers, and still works to this day. Half numbers, whole numbers, fear, greed, VWAP, and you are set for life. So let's take a look at the Palantir one more time on the 1 minute. Now, right now, this is one of those moments. If you've never heard me talk, if you've never met me and you hear the word rigging, that's it. This is one of those moments where, well, Kenny, the market's not rigged just because it went to 97.50. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is, because that's the rigging. Stocks travel to certain prices. Here like I said, you have one of the most volatile moments a stock can have. After market, after they reported, stocks are extremely volatile. Yet it still followed the major algorithmic print of 95, 92.50, got you 95, got you 97.50. And what's going to happen when it breaks 97.50? Hunch. Now, tomorrow, I'll go back to that whole thing. If it's up in the upper range, I'm expecting to walk in tomorrow having it at 102.50. I don't, or maybe 120. If it's at 120 tomorrow, I'm definitely looking to short it, because that would be about another 38% from here. But let's say it's above, let's say it's flirting with 100 tomorrow, but never gets over it. That's when you could short it and use the 100 as your out. Or let's say it's, flirting with 99 and change, never even gets near the 100, or 98, and it breaks back below the 97.50. 97.50 on the downside could get you back to the 95, and that could be one of the setups. And that's why, again, plot your attack tonight, get familiar with the motion of the ocean, and then you revisit what you did tonight, tomorrow, and you should be on your way to finding a winning trade. All right, so we got Palantir, we got something real boring. I'll show you Clorox in a second, but here's Rambus. Rambus doing Rambus things, right? Usually sells off on earnings. Standard 5 points. Yep, typical Rambus. Not a lot of volume, not much going on there. Rambus, Rambus, blah, 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 blah. Report fourth quarter results. Boo. No positive or negative numbers. It's just a sell off on earnings. So again, tomorrow, well, it hasn't sold off on earnings anymore. Well, I was just going to say, I guarantee you I'll be looking to buy it if it breaks for 57.50 tomorrow. Okay. I guess it's going to happen as I'm about to. That was very weird. Anyway, 57.50 gets you 60. I was about to tell you. And that just happened. And I'm a huge fan of the stock. I owned it for 2 years. I'm not in it anymore. So I'm hoping it dips so I could buy it. I'm not buying it to own it, but I'll buy it to trade it. All right. Well, that already happened, but we'll check on this one later. You got Clorox. Oh, that's pretty good. That's a nice 10-point range right there. So I'm assuming not much volume on Clorox. Never trade it. It's the only time I would ever look at it is earnings. $1.50 spread, no volume, very dangerous to trade. I don't really trade too much in the aftermarket. The only time I would trade would be something like a Palantir, because you got a lot of volume, so it's not that dangerous. Stock like Clorox or Rambus, 2 ticks, you're on the wrong side, you're down 3 points. But you see what it did? 65.95 high. The pivot point at one point was here. That's 160.80. 160.80 broke. Got you down to 156.21. So tomorrow, these highs and lows quite often come back into play. So what we're hoping, officially Clorox is flat. So it closed at 159.78. It's basically at 159.78 right now. What you want to see it if it's gapped down, but not below the aftermarket lows. Chances are we're buying it. If it's flirting with those highs tomorrow, chances are we're shorting it. Basically, just the first trade is always the reversion trade. You're looking to play the fade. Gapped up, you're a shorter. Gap down, you're a buyer. And obviously that worked tremendously on Apple last week. Possibly the best trade of the year. So why am I a little bit apprehensive? Apple is not Palantir. All right. This is a little bit of just market insight. Apple had been selling off for a couple of weeks going into the number. It was having a hard time. And then it rallied. It had already rallied into the number. So a lot of that gap, I felt, was kind of bullshit because the stock already had a nice pop into the report. So I was anticipating the selling. With Palantir, even though this thing has, you had a little sell-off a couple of weeks ago, it held support. It's basically never stopped going up. It's just still under accumulation. And I generally don't want to get in the way of a stock that's obviously headed to 120, right? And I'm not trying to joke around here. Could easily be 120 tomorrow. Easy 120. Right? So if this consolidation, you see how it's consolidating at the upper level, super bullish. This thing looks like it wants to break 97.50 tonight. Chances are it will. Chances are we're not seeing this thing in the 90s anymore. Chances are if it's over 100 tomorrow, you may never see this stock in double digits ever again. But I still come in with this idea that, hey, if this consolidation doesn't break a new high, maybe we get a chance to play the fade. And again, as just day traders, you're just trying to make a day's pay. This thing, you short 400 shares tomorrow, pulls back 2 points, you make $600-$700 on it. People would die for that, especially if you do it in the first 20 minutes of the day. And then tomorrow morning, we got a couple other ones. We got PayPal tomorrow morning, another stock that I've owned for 6 months. I sold it last week. I'm not in it anymore. I don't like owning stocks into earnings reports. I don't like owning stocks in particular ever, but so a couple of my old faves are coming back. Spotify, and this is why I hate the industry completely. Absolutely, for some reason, believed an analyst. When this stock broke down, this is my favorite chart pattern. This is the Andy Dufresne, and this stock, Andy Dufresne, more so than I ever thought I'd ever see it down there. And then it Kardashian bottomed. And right as it was coming out of here, when I was regretting not buying it at 70, I bought it when it came out of that bottom pattern at $95. And the next day, it got downgraded, not just with a market underperformer, it got downgraded with this company might go out of business. The guy wrote the most awful article about the company and blah, blah, blah. They're losing their licensing. This company's a has-been already. It's never going to make any money ever again. You better sell it before it gets worse. That was at $92. The stock's at $560. This was what I'm talking about when I say nobody knows anything in this industry. Whoever wrote that article and downgraded Palantir at $92, that dude probably went to school for that. Let's give it up for that guy, by the way. Wow. I bet he studied hard to make that call. Fantastic. Wow, they're going out of business, are they? Yeah, wow. Some incredible due diligence must have been done on that trade right there. Just like Goldman Sachs downgrading AMD when it broke $4. All right, so if you're trading Palantir, you're in. You can't believe you just bought it. But you couldn't resist because it just broke 97.50. Right? You're in. Right? You can't believe you just bought it. Sell it. Wait, I just bought it. Sell it. Sell it. Sell it right now. You know why? Because let's say you bought 300 shares, you just made yourself $150 just by buying it at 97. Sell it. All right, now you're up $400, $500, $600. You get it now? Now you understand why I'm not shorting this stock? It's going to 120 tonight. Can't go up to 120 without breaking 97.50. 97.50 got you 98.50. Do you really think this stock's going to stop at 98.80? Look at the size on the offer, getting gobbled up. Oh, ooh. Wait, I think 97.50 gets you what? 97.50 gets you what now? Wait, 97.50 gets you who? See the size on the 99s? That's all buyers waiting to buy it through 99. So if you bought 97.50, you sold some at 98. Now sell some at 99. Don't sell any more of it until it hits 100. And when it hits 100, you just sell a little bit more and don't sell any more of it ever again unless it breaks 97.50. Because when it hits 120 tomorrow morning, you're going to be regretting it and crying to your mama. And when it's at 350 4 years from now, and I'm still running this chat room and I'm cashing out and buying myself a second home or first home, depending on where I'm living. Anyway, this is just momentum trading at its best. 97.50 breaks, you buy it. You sell into the strength. You just made a day's pay. Now you can take off tomorrow. But Kenny, you said it was going to go to 100. Shh. Give it a moment. Maybe it doesn't go to 100. Maybe 99.27 is the high of today's aftermarket. It'll tack on the other 75 cents tomorrow, I'm sure. Bottom line is we got some people in my chat room that are still in this from the IPO. Let's give it up for those people. Let's give it up for the wizard who's in from 1750. All right, here comes the $100 move because 97.50 doesn't get you 99.16. 97.50 gets you 100. Now print it. You see why I'm not shorting this stock, right? There are times where it's just not good business. Not even a signpost or a plaque. I never ask who gave the order because it's not good business. I'm a little shocked it didn't hit 100 on that move right there, but it'll get there. And if it doesn't, because you're up 20%, that's generally a good time to be selling something. 20% is a magic number too. Sorry, I missed it by 42 cents. I'm sure it'll get there tomorrow. Anyway, where's my friend that was debating whether or not to hold this stock into earnings? I don't hold stocks into earnings. This was the only one I gave you permission to do so because it's just math, people. Can't go to 120 without going through the 90s, right? I didn't ask. Yeah, and listen, when it hits 120 and pulls back 20 points and you're thinking that's the end of it, buy it. All right, so now that it did flirt with 100, right? Now, tomorrow, I'll think if it's not over 100, maybe we play the fade. The fade's going to happen no matter what. It's just if you get the timing right, if you get the timing wrong on the fade, you're beat. So, like I said, 95, I had to wait to see what happened at 97.50. 97.50, I got to wait till it gets to 100. Now, tomorrow, we'll see what's up. Over 100, but not over 102.50, then you look for it to break the 100 and pull back to the 97.50. Or just buy the fucker and watch it go to 120, which is the easy answer in a bull market, in the hottest stock on the planet. I think the stock's going to outperform everybody. Let me see. If it goes to 250, it's only 200. It's only 150% from here. All right. Well, there you go. Now you finally get some chop. We'll see what happens next. Anyway, if anybody bought the 97.50, like I said, I don't like to trade aftermarket. But when you have something setting up perfectly like that, through a huge number that we know is so significant, pulled back, it held the pullback, and then breaks the 97.50, give it a shot. Give it a shot with a couple of hundred shares at 97.50. Why not? Make yourself a couple of hundy. So you got some ammunition tomorrow, right? We're already starting tomorrow, tonight. 97.50 got you 99.50. Should have made something in there. All right. Let me go check on the other ones. There was NXPI. This one generally doesn't have too much volume. But here you got your top of the day already. 210.96. Lows are... Oh, look at that, friends. Oh, another earnings report that went exactly to a big fat whole number, and that's where it found buyers. Yeah, it's just a coincidence, man. It's just a coincidence that it hit 200 on the nose, and that's where it decides to bounce. Yeah, it's just merely a coincidence. Yeah. The only two earnings reports I'm showing you, one hit the 97.50, and that's where the sellers were, and one bounced off the big fat 200. These are just coincidences. I'm being sarcastic. They're not coincidences. The market's rigged. If you didn't see my tongue sticking through my cheek or whatever, they tongue in cheek. Wah, wah. Yeah, sometimes I got to tell you I'm being sarcastic. So Palantir, NXPI, let's see what the Clorox is doing. All right, good. As long as it stays below a range, tomorrow we have a chance to buy that range break. So Clorox still on the buy list now that it's down a little bit. And what else is there? There's the Palantir, there's the Clorox, there's the NXPI. There was one more that looked interesting on the list. Let me see if that website came back. It's back. So here, earningswhispers.com with an S. Earnings Whispers. The reason I like it is they break the list. They display the list in usually market cap or popularity. So you basically know the top of the list, the ones you want to watch. Here's your Palantir. KD, I don't know what that is. NXPI, that's when we just checked. Clorox. And, of course, let's go take a look at Rambus, and then I'm going to get the hell out of here. Now, I'm hoping when I pull up Rambus again, it'll be down 8 points. And it's not. So tomorrow, again, this one has very little volume. I'm hoping to see it down big so then I can buy it tomorrow. But before we go, I'm curious to see if I can get Palantir to hit 100 before I leave. Hold on a second. And what I'm doing here tonight with you guys in the aftermarket, this is what I do. I never leave. I'm a weirdo, recluse trader. When I go out, I have a great time, but I rarely go out. So this week, I'm going to be sitting at my desk pretty much 9 or 10 hours a day. And of course, yes, you're seeing the Qs are hitting highs in the aftermarket. The sell-off has now been completely eradicated. And there you go. It took all day, but you finally got the prior day VWAP. There you go. So if you were wondering, right? Now, that was the move I was looking for earlier. I was assuming we were just going to rally into the close, break multi-day VWAP, and just crush all the shorts. They did it in the aftermarket. And you just got blue line. It took all day to get from blue to orange. Usually it gets there a lot sooner. But what this day was also, not only was it a wake-up call that you should never short stocks, it's a wake-up call that you can short them, but never forget rule number 1. Shorting is short-lived, and you're going to die. I've blown my account up at least 5 times, and it's never been on buying stocks. It's always been a short position and always something where I'm getting my ass squeezed and absolutely lit up. And most of the time it was on the Qs. So if you biased yourself, if you're biased to just buy side, it's still good to know the anatomy or the inner workings of the shorter's mind. And that's why I'm really good at what I do now, because I'm a battered, beaten, destroyed bear. And I've learned my lessons the hard way through blood. And I've managed to survive. And now I get to bestow my wisdom upon all you. And that's what keeps my juices flowing. All right, you all have a great night. I'll see you in the morning. And we'll do this again and again and again and again. It never ends. And then you get to meet my friend Salad, who might actually go on the air after I get off because he loves this stuff just as much as I do. And we have been cultivating and putting together these trades basically all our lives. And now we're just specifically VWAP, earnings traders. We love the stocks that have the most volume. Our buddy Mike Noss is out there that's banging out the algorithm for us, so we're not going to miss any trades. Got a lot of amazing things about to happen in this room. Get to know us. Get to know us if you haven't yet. All right. I'll see you guys in the morning. Peace. Q's new highs. Hey, by the way, I never really leave. My friend said, you know what? Today I counted how many times you said you were leaving. You said you were going for 22 individual times, and 21 of those times you were back talking within 30 seconds. I never leave. Where am I going? I got nowhere to be. Oh, by the way, this was the longest QQQ trade ever. Think about it. Since we covered, it really just rallied and went sideways. The better move of the entire afternoon just happened in the aftermarket, because now the illiquidity of the market, the shorts are on the run, and you got 1 minute to your multi-day. And if the market stays open, again, if it was the regular session, I'd probably be long the Qs right now. Chances are they're just going to grind up. We're going to gap up tomorrow as if this sell-off never happened. And that's why shorting is short-lived, and you're going to die. All right, I'm actually going to leave now. I'm going to go get something to eat. All right. Soon we're going to be leaving the room open because it's a little bit easier to launch. We're going back to old tech sometime, not this week, probably, let's say next week. And if I think there's something important to say and I just want to get on air, I'm just going to blast out an email and say, hey, if you're free, I'm going on the air in 5 minutes. Let's do it. And, during earnings season, that sometimes happens. And during times of volatility, like last night, would have been nice to just get an impromptu session going, talking about where we're buying the dip and just to calm everybody down. Because if you were nervous, there was nothing to be nervous about. UVXY was up a measly 8%. UVXY up 20, 25%, and then you get a little nervous. And then you realize there's never a reason to be nervous anymore. There's so much money going around. There's so much stability in the market. Yes, DeepSeek kind of showed you that this market is pretty fickle the way they can give back, but each time it comes back. So that was now 4 sell-offs where it looked like we were going to go a lot lower, and all 4 times we came back. So bull market's alive and well. And I'm really leaving. I wanted to stay just to see if this thing would hit 100 while I was sitting here, but it looks like it's just chopping around in that upper range for a buck. Get there tomorrow. All right. I'm really going to go. See ya. I'm really mean it this time. I'm definitely going. And I'm leaving.